Things, Words, Meaning. Lecture 1, Part 1. We begin with a quote from Alfred North Whitehead, quote, "The very purpose of philosophy is to delve below the apparent clarity of common speech," unquote. We all know that words, the things you use every day to communicate, the things I am using now on this page, indicate things other than themselves. I say or write the word food, and it indicates or stands for something to eat. The indication is broad. Food may indicate an almost unlimited number of individual items, from brisket and salmon and apples and spinach to cat kibble, hydroponic food nutrients for plants, and canned dog food. It may also be used as a metaphor, as in, "If music be the food of love, play on." Here the word food is still indicating something other than itself, but the thing indicated is a state or condition, not a physical object. We describe the things indicated by food with a definition, such as this one, quote, "Any nutritious substance that people or animals eat or drink, or that plants absorb in order to maintain life and growth," unquote. Leaving the metaphorical use of food aside, this definition seems so straightforward and apt that we take it for granted, until we consider what is indicated by the word nutritious. When we say nutritious, we indicate that the thing eaten or drunk is good for the eater or drinker. But is that always the case? We all know of the phenomenon of empty calories, or food that is consumed without any nutritional value whatsoever. Far from all the things eaten or drunk by humans have nutritional value. Think of alcohol or the juice from chewed tobacco. Perhaps we should drop nutritious from our definition, and along with it the words "in order to maintain life and growth," which more or less indicate the same thing. So now we have, quote, "any substance that people or animals eat or drink or that plants absorb," unquote. But this would lead us to conclude that arsenic is food, since people have been known to eat it. Do we really want to equate food with poison? Of course not. So how to proceed with the definition? Perhaps it is possible to say something like, quote, "Food is that which is eaten or drunk by humans and animals or absorbed by plants in the belief that it is nutritious." But clearly this doesn't work either. Once upon a time, tomatoes were thought by certain populations to be poisonous. Today they are consumed by billions of people without fear of being poisoned. Were tomatoes at one time poison but are now food? To complicate things, an internet doctor of some fame has currently, as of 2021, made a passionate case that tomatoes and other nightshade fruits and vegetables are indeed poison. Is it possible that a poison became food and is now about to return to its status as poison? It could seem so, given our later definition. It is also possible to feed someone a meal laced with arsenic and for the person to consume it in the belief that it is nutritious. It is a stretch to call such a poisonous meal food without heavy qualifiers that all but sink the definition. Here's the problem we're encountering. The definition of a word consists of more words. As words are indications of things, whether objects or states or conditions, each word used in a definition requires in turn a definition. This creates an endless spiral because every consequent definition also uses words, and these also require definition in words, etc., etc. There is no getting to the bottom of a definition. The most any definition can do is guide us to some general area of understanding, but the understanding is always in terms of other words, the indicators of things, not the things themselves. We can use words to more or less indicate the web of indications that ultimately point to the word we are using, but that is all. Because of this mutual interdependence of words upon other words, and because words are not things but only the indicators of things, definitions do not supply the thing everyone assumes they supply. Words do not give us meaning. A definition of a word is not the meaning of that word, but merely a kind of rule about how we use it in writing and speaking. This was the central point of philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein in his famous late period, quote, "I shall call the whole of language, consisting of language and the actions into which it is woven, the language game," unquote. We all know how to use the word food in our English language game. We know how to order food in a restaurant and how to talk about food with friends and how to eat it. But these are actions into which the word food is woven, as Wittgenstein put it. And the word in all cases indicates, in a very broad sense, some object perhaps the omelet we ordered or a mental picture of a pizza mentioned. But food does not mean these things. Rather, these things mean something to which we attach the sound food. This ontological lexical difference is critical to the point I will be making. No word means the thing it indicates. The indication is after the fact of meaning. Meaning is identity, and as such is prior to any name or label. Things, objects of all kinds, physical and mental, mean themselves. Nothing outside of them can mean them. Words are nothing more than tags to hang on the objects of our experience after we know them, that is, after they mean something to us. We do not know things via words. Omelets and pizzas and cat food and vitamins mean what they are prior to our naming them, and that applies even when we hear the word before experiencing the object. If I have never eaten a certain dish, say shakshuka, the spicy North African dish of eggs and tomatoes, then the word indicates something, or rather nothing, to me, except an imagined combination of flavors and textures. The proper indication intended by the word shakshuka can only come into existence with the eating of shakshuka. The experience is primary, the word is secondary. We might reshape what we just said as shakshuka, to someone who has not eaten the dish but had it described to them, indicates an imagined combination of flavors and textures, while the same word to someone who is eating the dish indicates something more definite. But in neither case does the shakshuka mean shakshuka. In the first case, shakshuka indicates the mental picture of an imagined eating experience. In the second, it indicates the real-world experience of eating the dish. But in neither case does the word mean. It means neither the imagined nor the actual eating experience. Only the experience of imagining the dish or the experience of eating the dish means shakshuka. It will seem that I am playing with words by positing a difference between indication and meaning. I say that shakshuka indicates a spicy dish, whether imagined or actual. How is that different from saying that shakshuka means the spicy dish? Indeed, the manner in which words are casually used in everyday circumstances admits no difference. When I say shakshuka, I indicate, or mean, according to daily use, the dish. In this view, things have no meaning in and of themselves, but mean only in terms of the words applied to them. Things mean only what they say we mean when we speak the word for whatever thing we indicate. This is a much bigger danger than might immediately be thought, as we will explain at length. Indicate and meaning have different definitions. To indicate is to point to something. When we point to an object, whether literally with a finger or a nod or figuratively with a word, we intend to focus intention and attention on that object. But meaning applies to the referent associated with a word. To mean is not to indicate a thing. To mean is to identify. Meaning is the meaning of a thing. It is the thing referred to, not the relationship between indicator and thing. The shakshuka I eat has meaning. The word shakshuka has no meaning except as itself, that is, as a word in the language game we play as an indicator of the thing I ate, which alone has meaning. Language, which is a set of indications only, has no meaning. Only the experience of things, of cattle and corn and buildings and bikes and sunlight and freedom and language have meaning. Did I just say that language has no meaning and then contradict myself by saying language has meaning? No. I said that language has meaning only as itself, just as all objects, including language, have meaning in and of themselves. It has meaning only as the game Wittgenstein so identified. Language can indicate things outside itself, and in this I may disagree with Wittgenstein, but the meaning of the things indicated lies within those things, and only there. This point is critical. Between the indication of the thing and the meaning of the thing lies a wide gulf. This gulf is not unbridgeable, but it cannot be spanned by the use of words in their ordinary chit-chat manner. To use words casually, according to the definitions given us by culture, society, politics, religion, or a dictionary, is to engage in what philosopher Martin Heidegger called das Mann, usually translated as the they, as in they say this and they say that. For the they, contrasted with the authentic individual, or Dasein to use Heidegger's term, the everyday language game is the final reality. And the whole point is to win the game, to outmaneuver others and establish one's opinion or perspective as the right one. For Dasein, which is usually translated as the there being, by comparison, the goal is rather to serve as what Heidegger calls the clearing, a space in which being itself can enter without interference from previous belief or lingual prejudices. Quote, philosophy is the knowledge of the essence of things, unquote, Heidegger wrote. It is not knowledge of a current belief system or political fashions or of the language game. It is, quote, knowledge of the essence of things. And for that, for clarification, we might add things in themselves and not as they are represented in language. And so we have reintroduced a key word used previously only at the top of our text in a quote from yet another philosopher, Alfred North Whitehead, and that word is philosophy. But wait, doesn't philosophy use words? Philosophy doesn't paint pictures or make music. It compiles written treatises. It is made of words. If philosophy is indeed knowledge of the essence of things, and if things have meaning in themselves apart from any representation in language, and if the vehicle for doing philosophy is language, how on earth is philosophy to be done? How are we to use language to explicate the knowledge of something beyond language? In attempting to answer this question lies both the extraordinary challenge and unparalleled importance of philosophy. For if we can build bridges across the gulf that divides things from language, then we can grasp and know the true from the false, or being from non-being, which distinctions for Aristotle were one and the same. Quote, being and non-being in the strictest sense are truth and falsity, unquote. To do that, we must not settle for common language, as its apparent clarity, as Whitehead called it, poses a grave threat to understanding. Given to common chatter and the they say takes over. Should we manufacture new words? That was Heidegger's belief early in his career, a belief that gave us terms such as Dasein. Later on, however, Heidegger changed his perspective on this, a change that I find right-headed. We don't need to manufacture new words to get at the essences of things. We need only to use ordinary words in extraordinary ways, examining their sources, their history, and their connotations as a path to understanding what is meant by the objects to which they refer. Not what a word indicates, for indications can shift from era to era, culture to culture, but what is meant by the thing indicated. Meaning belongs to the world of experienced objects, including mental objects such as love and freedom, and only to the world of experienced objects. When we find a word that is the linguistic equivalent of Heidegger's clearing, a word cleansed of all cultural detritus and without pretense to meaning, a word that is purely a transparent emblem of the referent it indicates and nothing else, then we have done the job of philosophy. There is a word for this kind of word, logos.